Good morning. Happy Wednesday. We're going to take a closer look at the first stanza of Autorec by Carl Shapiro today. And you may be wondering why I chose this poem for you to read. It is definitely not to scare you away from driving or to freak you out or anything like that. What I wanted you to see is how a poet writes about a fatal car accident. As you know, accidents happen all the time. And for those that read the newspaper or watch the news, we only really hear the bare minimum of the outcome of a fatal accident. However, in this poem, Carl Shapiro, the poet, describes an auto accident in detail, particularly making the reader feel an array of emotions. So let's take a look at the first stanza closer. You will notice that each stanza will bring about a different perspective. You will see today, after reading stanza 1 yesterday and stanza 2 today, that each perspective of each stanza will be different. Stanza 1 is kind of like a live commentary on an accident. The mood in this stanza is very tense and quite scary. I'd like for you to notice that lines 1 through 7, we are thrown into the excitement of a car crash. An ambulance is speeding down towards the scene. And I'm not sure if any of you noticed the alliteration on the first line. Carl Shapiro writes, soft silver bell beating. An alliteration is when an author, or poet in this case, uses words that start with the same sound, same letter, or repeats. And in this case, soft silver has the same sound, and then bell beating is also has the same beginning sound. But he uses beating twice to make you think of a heartbeat. He then uses the word flare, and down the dark one ruby flare pulsing out red light like an artery. We know that a flare indicates an emergency. So just using that one word puts an alarm in us that this is an emergency. Line 6 says, wings in a heavy curve dips down. For me, I had to read this a few times to understand what he was talking about. Then I realized that this was a metaphor for the ambulance arriving. It's almost like an angel coming to the rescue. Wings in a heavy curve dips down. But notice lines 8 through 14, we aren't as comforted as we think once the ambulance gets here. Usually when an ambulance arrives to a scene of an accident, people might feel relief that help has arrived and things will be made better. But after you read lines 8 through 14, this is not the case. The poet uses words like mangled, lifted, or with its terrible cargo to make us feel uneasy. We are now faced with the reality of possibly death in this accident that happened on a public road. So in essence, the first stanza is talking about a fatal car crash as if we, or the author, was an onlooker. And that's the perspective of this stanza. The mood is tense, it's shocking, it's scary, and it's a little unnerving. So I hope this helps you understand the first stanza a little bit better. I do know that reading poetry is not easy, and I hope this helped you out.